Assalamu alaikum fam, hope you're doing well. Habaneros here. Listening up, learning. Alright, I am addicted to these hadiths and can't get enough of them. I am one book ahead of you, so this is book number 1. I'm reading 2 on my own and then I'll continue to progress. Reading those on my own and then in order here on the channel for all of you. And I love hadiths, so I don't know what to tell you. If you don't like hadiths, I don't know what to tell you. Alright, so we're in the chapter of purification, chapter 10. What has been related about being screened while relieving oneself? Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Anas, may Allah Most High be pleased with him, said, when the Prophet, peace be upon him, wanted to relieve himself, he would not raise his garment until he was close to the ground. Daif. Abu Isa said, this is how Muhammad bin Rabia reported this hadith from Al-Amash from Anas. Waqi and Abu Yahya al-Himani reported that Al-Amash said, Ibn Umar, may Allah Most High be pleased with him, said, when the Prophet, peace be upon him, wanted to relieve himself, he would not raise his garment until he was close to the ground. I've heard those. What's cool about reading all of these in order is, as I'm doing with the other books, it's so you begin to like remember what other hadiths said, and then you start to recognize the chain names. That's what's really cool. It's like, instead of just jumping around and like cherry picking stuff, reading it in order and then like connecting it with the other books is really cool. Because like as I read it, if I want to dig in deep with someone or someone mentions it, I'll be like, oh, I read that in so-and-so, then you can go and look at it. And then if there's one that really confuses you or interests you, you can always, ask a scholar of hadith about it. But man, it's like, it's really interesting the way I'm starting to recognize the names here. Both the ahadith are mursal. They say that Al-Amash did not hear from Anas, nor any of the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him. But he saw Anas bin Malik. He said, I saw him praying, and he mentioned something about him regarding the prayer. And Al-Amash's name is Sulaiman bin Mihran. Abu Muhammad al-Hali, being their freed slave, Al-Amash said, my father was a hamil, so he made Masruk an heir. A hamil means one who was brought to the land of Islam while a child. Oh, cool. See that? That's why it's cool to read these. Comments. This hadith tells that the cloth should be lifted away from one's private parts when the person is squatting to relieve himself is near the ground. Awesome. Alright. Chapter 11. What has been related about it being disliked to use the right hand for istinja. Okay. I thought it wasn't possible to retrain yourself, but it is. So that's pretty cool. Abdullah bin Abu Qatada narrated from his father, the Prophet, peace be upon him, prohibited that a man should touch his area with his right hand. Sahih. There are narrations on this topic from Aisha, Salman, Abu Huraira, and Sahil bin Hunayn. Abu Isa said, this hadith is Hasan Sahih. The name of Abu Qatada al-Ansari is Al-Harith bin Ribi. The name of Abu Qatada. This is acted upon according to the people of knowledge. In general, they dislike istinja with the right hand. We're learning a lot of words, and that word is actually spelled I-S-T-I-N-G-A. Chapter 12, using stones for al-istinja. Abdul Rahman bin Yazid said, they said to Salman, your Prophet, peace be upon him, taught you about everything, even defecating? So Salman said, yes, he prohibited us from facing the Qibla when defecating and urinating, performing istinja with the right hand, using less than 3 stones for istinja, and using dung or bones for istinja. Sahih. And I remember the dung and the bones was because they were the food of jinns. Abu Isa said, there are narrations on this topic from Aisha, Huzma bin Thabit, Jabir, and Halad bin Asaib from his father. Abu Isa said, the hadith of Salman on this topic is Hasan Sahih Hadith. It is a saying of most of the people of knowledge, among the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and those after them. They see that istinja with stones is enough, even if one does not use water for istinja when it removes the traces of defecation in urine. This is the saying of Athari ibn al-Mubarak, Ash-Shafi, Ahmad, and Ishaq. Mubarak is a cool name, man. I like the names that have that, like, I know that Al-Mughira is like, you can't have it because it was like the attacker, was not really a good guy, but the Al-Mughira, Al-Mubarak, I like the way those names sound. I don't know why. It's just like, like they have a momentum behind the word. Comments. Okay, let's learn. Let's see what it says. The right hand should not be used for purification after relieving oneself, for it is for the use of eating, drinking, reading, writing, and other pure actions. And naturally, Allah granted to the right hand more power and ability comparing to the left one. Therefore, the right hand should be used for good and virtuous deeds, and the left hand is used for other sort of things. This is interesting, because it is pretty interesting how your left hand is kind of weaker, even when you have to train it, right? When I play basketball, you dribble with your left hand, and then even when you hit the heavy bag, you gotta train with your left hand. Make sure you do the same amount of reps on each side. But the right hand, it's like when we grew up, it's like, oh, it's stronger, so you use it for everything. But it's interesting how you have to like retrain your mind in that way, trying to practice what the Prophet, peace be upon him, said concerning that, and eventually it's like it comes second nature, you know? It's pretty cool. Bones of an animal and its excrement are not to be used for purifications because according to some other narrations, these things are food for jinns and their rites. So only those things should be used for purification that are not religiously regarded and are also not the food of any creature, impure nor harmful. That's interesting. Jinns and their rites. Their rites. Whoa. Figure me out. Chapter 13. What has been related about istinja with two stones? Abdullah said, Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, went out to relieve himself. So he said, bring me 3 stones. He said, so I came with 2 stones and a piece of dung. So he took the 2 stones and left the dung. He said, it is riks, a degenerative or filthy thing. Okay, that's R-I-K-S. And that means a degenerate or filthy thing. Because remember, one of them was dung, right? Food of jinn, can't use it. Abu Isa said, similarly, Qais bin Arabi reported this hadith from Abu Ishaq, from Abu Ubaidah, from Abdullah, and it is similar to the narration of Israel. Number 17. Mamar and Amar bin Ruzaik reported it from Abu Ishaq, from Al-Kama, from Abdullah. Zuhair reported it from Abu Ishaq, from Abdurrahman bin al-Aswad, from his father al-Aswad bin Yazid, from Abdullah. Zakaria bin Abi Zaidah reported it from Abu Ishaq, from Abdurrahman bin Yazid, from al-Aswad bin Yazid, from Abdullah. So there is incoherent idridab in this hadith. Interesting. And also, they let you know the grades of the hadiths. It's very cool. Like the whole way it's worded, how your mind becomes sort of adjusted to the way in which these hadiths are narrated. Abu Isa said, I asked Abdullah bin Abdurrahman, which of the narrations of this hadith from Abu Ishaq is the most correct? But he could not say anything decisive. So I asked Muhammad about it, and he did not say anything decisive. It is as if he thought that the hadith of Zuhair from Abu Ishaq, from Abdurrahman bin al-Aswad, from his father, from Abdullah, was most likely, since he put it in his book Al-Jami. Okay, Al-Jami. Okay, so Abdullah bin Abdul Rahman has a book called Al-Jami. Cool. Abu Isa said, "To me, the most correct thing about this are the narrations of Israel in case from Abu Ubaidah, from Abdullah. This is because Israel is more dependable and better at preserving the narrations of Abu Ishaq than these people." Okay, so notice this. Israel is more reliable and dependable concerning the narrations of Abu Ishaq. In case narration corroborated it. So reading these in order really forces your brain to hear it's like how the narrators like reference each other, which is very helpful. Abu Isa said, "I heard Abu Musa Muhammad bin al-Muthana saying, I heard Abdul Rahman bin Mahdi saying, I only left the narrations of Sufyan al-Thawri from Abu Ishaq because I realized on Israel for it, since he narrated it in a more complete fashion." Okay, so a more complete fashion. That's interesting. Abu Isa said, "In the case of Abu Ishaq, Zuhair is not like that because he heard from him at the end of his life." Heard from him at the end of his life. He said, "And I heard Ahmad bin al-Hasan al-Tirmidhi saying, I heard Ahmad bin Hanbal saying, when one hears a hadith from Zayda and Zuhair, then there is no harm if he does not hear from others, except in the case of Abu Ishaq." Okay, so Abu Ishaq? Abu Ishaq's name is Amir bin Abdullah as-Sabi al-Hamdani, and Abu Ubaidah bin Abdullah bin Masud did not hear from his father, and we do not know his name. Muhammad bin Bashir al-Abdi narrated to us. Muhammad bin Jafar narrated to us from Shuba, from Amir bin Murrah, who said, okay, so I asked Abu Ubaidah bin Abdullah, "Did you remember anything from Abdullah?" He said no. Interesting. So it's, you gotta follow like the he said, she said phrasing, but if you're really good at logic and you just follow it, it's like you can get it and not get lost. That's pretty cool. Wow, fascinating. A lot of them referencing the others. Abu Isa is mentioned quite a lot in this. So using 3 stones to cleanse oneself, and focusing on using your right hand. So lots of regulations for us to remember and to enact.